Hello, how are you? Today I have an even stranger story than any of the stories I've ever told before. This is a story about a man, and his job was miller. He was a miller, and what he had to do was he had to get the corn that was blowing in the field, and he had to take it to his mill, and he had to grind it and turn it into flour. Now, not flours like you see in the field with lots of pretty colours, but flour, the white stuff that you make bread out of. And then a Tesco's van would come to his mill where he'd make the flour, and he would put it all in bags, and the Tesco's van would drive it off to Tesco's where they would make bread. Because in Tesco's they make fresh bread actually on the place where the Tesco's shop is, or they normally do. Anyway, so this man, he was a miller, and he was really happy because he got lots and lots of money from Tesco's, and so he used to go around saying, "I'm the best miller in the world, I'm the great miller man, I'm the great miller man," and he'd always go around saying he was the best because he thought he was really special just because he had that corn and he'd grind it and everything. Then one day the king's men were walking by him, and he was showing off and saying how good he was, and the king doesn't like people showing off because the king is the king, and anyone who thinks they're going to be like the king or even really, really good, they have to be told off. So the king's men grabbed the miller and they took him over to where the king was in the castle, in the great big palace thing, and in the throne room where the king was sitting on the throne. "Hello," said the king. "Why are you here?" And the miller said, "I don't know. Your men just brought me here and I don't really know why." And the men said, "Sir, this man, he was showing off. He was saying, 'I'm the greatest, I'm the miller, I'm the best miller in the world, I'm fantastic.'" Said the king. "I don't like that. I don't like people showing off. You will be punished. I'm going to throw you into my darkest prison cell forever and ever." But the miller said, No, don't do that. Do you know what? My daughter, she's fantastic. She can help you with anything you want. My daughter has special powers." And he was just making up this story because actually his daughter didn't have special powers. But the minute he heard that he was going to be in a dungeon forever and ever, he got really scared. And he thought, quickly think of something. So he just made up this story. And the king said, "That sounds interesting. Tell me, what does your daughter do?" The miller said, "My daughter, she can do this special thing. If you give her straw and you give her a spinning wheel, she can spin the straw onto the wheel and she can make it turn to gold." Now, normally on a spinning wheel, you get wool, which is all fluffy like this, and you spin it round and you make it into little tiny threads. And those threads you can knit into jumpers and things. But the miller made up the story that his daughter could make straw on a spinning wheel into gold. Strange. And the king immediately thought, money. Okay, miller, bring your daughter to me. So the miller left the palace, and he was in some ways he was really happy because at last he was free and he wasn't going to go to the dungeon forever and ever, the really darkest, horrible, smelly dungeon. But now he had to tell his daughter that she was going to go and try and turn straw into gold. Now he got to his house and his daughter came running to him and said, "Hello, where have you been, Father Miller? You're a bit late. I love you. Oh, Daddy. And then he had to tell her, "I got in a little bit of trouble with the king." And the daughter said, "Oh no, what's happened?" "Well, it's okay. It's all fine now." "Oh, I'm so happy. The one thing is that you have to turn some straw into gold." Here are the king's men. And right behind him, there were the king's men. They grabbed the daughter and took her to the palace and shoved her in a dungeon. Not the darkest dungeon, one on the top floor with windows so she could see what she was doing. And there, in that room, was a great big load of straw, big bale of straw like this big, and a little spinning wheel. And the daughter was locked in. Bang! They locked the door. What am I going to do? She said. So eventually she tried. She thought, I'll give it a go. And she got a bit of straw and she put it on the spinning wheel and she spat it, but nothing happened. It just came out with straw, exactly the same as before. But all of a sudden, she heard a laughing sound behind her. She turned around, and there was the funniest little man she'd ever seen in her life. He was about this big, and he had great big ears and a little fluffy hat, and out under his hat were the little bits of tufty hair. And he had a blue shirt on and some red pants and some very strange shoes that were sort of pointy bits at the end. And he said, ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha, you can't do that, only I can do that. Now the little daughter, she went, sorry, what did you say? And this man, whose name is a secret, because that's part of the story, because we're not allowed to know his name, he said, yes, if you would like, then I can do it for you. Don't worry, I don't want you to be sad. So the daughter said, yes, please. So the little man, hello, okay, I'll do it, no problem. And he sat down in front of the spinning wheel, got the straw, and after about 15 minutes, he had a reel like this full of gold thread. Gold, gold, from straw, no straw left, gold. Now the girl didn't really understand how he'd done that, because if she had noticed how he'd done it, she might have been able to do it one day, but he had some magic. She said, whoa, you've saved my life, thank you. Then she went to sleep, and in the morning the king came in and said, so how's it going, little girl? What? And he nearly fell over, because he saw the thread and saw that it was gold, and he was so happy. And the daughter said, king, here is your gold, look, you can have it. Now can I go? But the king was a bit greedy. You cannot go, I'm afraid. Instead, come with me. And the king's men grabbed the girl and followed the king into the next dungeon. And it was a bit bigger, and there were 2 windows in this one, but there were also 6 bales of straw. They slammed her in. She started crying. How am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? She tried again. She tried to think, now what had that little man done? What did he do? What did he do? He was singing a song. La 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 la. So she tried again, but all the straw just broke and it didn't turn into gold at all. It's really annoying. So she just cried again. And all of a sudden, luckily, she heard the man again, the little man. You're back! Oh, you've saved me! Now, this time the little man said, I feel so sorry for you. Don't worry about it though. I'll help you, but I might not be able to help you another time. He sat down, got the 3 bales of straw like this. 1. 2. 3 threads of gold. Oh, you're so wonderful. She gave him a big hug, and he said, no problem, no problem. If you ever need me again, just say, hello, little man, where are you? And so she said, I won't need you again. I'm sure the king will be so happy with this. He'll let me go, and I'll be able to go home, and my dad won't have to go into the dungeon, and I'll never have to go into a dungeon again. Then she fell asleep. And in the morning, the king came in. Ha! You're wonderful. Well done. You are a fantastic girl. Super, super duper. You've made 3 threads of gold. And he took the threads of gold, and she said, oh, thank you, king. I'm glad you're happy. And she was following him out of the door, and suddenly he turned around and he said, good, follow me. Uh-oh. He took her next door, and there was a really big room with 5 windows, and the whole room was full of straw. Yeah, that was one of the things of straw falling down. Did you hear that bang? Because actually, some of this story happened here in my house, but don't tell anyone. It was just a noise, really. I think there's a dog downstairs. We'll ignore the noise and we'll keep going. Anyway, so she was in this big room, lots and lots of straw. He slammed the door. There she was, crying and crying and crying. But then she thought, oh, the little man, little man. And there he was, straight behind her. Hee, don't worry about it, move. And he sat down and he said to her, but this time, if I do this for you and save your life and save your father's life, you must promise me one thing. And she said, anything, I'll give you anything you want to, anything, of course. And he said, when you have a child, your first baby, you must give to me. Now, the little girl didn't really mind, because she wasn't pregnant. She wasn't going to have a baby. So she just said, anything, of course, no problem. Then he started laughing. Okay, and he sat down. Bing, boom. Whole room full of threads of gold. Lots and lots of money. So the girl said, fantastic, you are my hero. I'll give you anything you want, and definitely, you wait, when I have a baby, just come and get it, no problem at all. So you can make promises like that, and you actually don't know what it's like, because when you actually have a baby, you don't really want to give them away. It's quite hard. Anyway, let's see what happened. So the king came in the next morning, and the king said, whoa, you are fantastic. Will you be my bride? Will you marry me? Will you be queen of the kingdom, and queen of this lovely castle, and queen of my lovely palace? Yeah, of course. So the miller was happy, the king was happy, the girl was happy, they got married, they had a really big wedding. There were 4,000 guests, all eating. Imagine how much food that was. Anyway, the palace was huge, and they had bedrooms enough for 4,000 people as well. Anyway, so it's a big palace. Anyway, so nothing, but about a year later, she was quite big. And she was going to have a baby. All of a sudden, the baby started coming out, and she had contractions, so her tummy started squeezing. Got a little papa. Oh, she was so happy, and she was crying because she loved the baby so much. And the king was crying because he loved the baby so much, because when you have a little baby, it's a little thing that you just bring into the world, and it's so nice. Oh, my lovely baby. But all of a sudden, up comes the little man out of the corner of the room where there isn't even a door. That's mine. He ran over and he grabbed the child, but the king grabbed him and lifted him up and said, no, that's my baby, you can't have that baby. And then the queen, who was actually just the little girl when she made the promise, had to tell the king, I'm sorry, but he was the one who did it with gold. I didn't do any of it. And I promised him that when I had a baby, he could have the baby. Oh, the king was really angry. He said, what? You did that? You silly, 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 silly woman. I'm going to chop off your head and chop off your father. Oh, she was crying and the baby was screaming because it was a newborn baby and everyone was really sad. And the little man didn't like noise. And he said, okay, what? I'll tell you what. We'll make it fair. If you can find out my name before tomorrow morning, you can keep the baby and we'll forget all about it. We'll be even. Okay, said the queen. Okay, said the king. Okay, said the miller, who was really happy that his head wasn't going to be chopped off. So the little man walked to the corner of the room like this, and disappeared through the wall. So then they knew he was magic. And the king immediately sent every single one of his soldiers out all across the land, and they had great big lists of names, huge lists of names like this. So the next day the little guy comes back and he sits down next to the queen, and the queen had this great big list of names. She went Peter, John, Amir, Francis, read thousands of names. No, that's not me, that's not me, that's not me. She got to the end of her list and she still hadn't found his name. Somebody's coming into the room. You can come in if you want. Shh, quietly. She still hadn't found out his name. So it was really strange. And then the little man said, right, the baby's mine. And then she was crying again. Oh, no, please. And he said, okay, one more chance because I'm so nice. Find out my name before tomorrow at this time, and then you can keep your baby. So this time he walked out through the wall again, disappeared, and the queen said, right, we've got to send people to other countries. So all the soldiers went out to other places, to other countries that have other different names. And they came back and gave her a great big list of names from other countries. And the man came back and there was leading this great big list. No. He was just about to take the baby when he saw that the queen was so broken-hearted she would never smile again. And he thought that was sad. So he said, right, you have one last chance. This time tomorrow, if you still haven't got my name, that's it. I'm taking the baby. She said, thank you very much for being so kind. And then he disappeared through the wall again. And then she sent out all the soldiers once more to try Now, one of the soldiers, he'd been drawn around on his horse so much he was a bit bored. So he got off and he sat down. And while he sat down, he heard a funny voice singing a song. La 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 la. And he stood up and he walked through the woods and he saw a little fire. And there was a funny little man running around the fire. And this little man was singing a song. He was singing a song, and in the song he was singing something like this. You'll never guess my name is Rumpelstiltskin, they'll never guess my name, Rumpelstiltskin is my name, Rumpelstiltskin, Rumpelstiltskin, Rumpelstiltskin is my name, they'll never guess my name, they'll never guess my name, they'll never guess my name. The soldier very quietly went back to his horse and walked the horse a bit away, and the man was still going round singing, told the Queen. Then the next day, the Queen was sitting down and she was really happy this time because she knew his name was Rumpelstiltskin. And then she got a list and started reading other names, and the man was just about to take the little baby when she said, well, could your name perhaps be Rumpelstiltskin? Whoa! The little man was angry, very, very angry, jumped up and down, and he jumped and he jumped and he took his hat off and he threw it on the floor, he stamped his feet. You can't get my name, how did you know my name? You cheated, what did you do? And he jumped up and down and he ended up jumping through the floor, so he went right through the floor and it went to his waist. So strange. Anyway, so he ran off and he was very upset, but the Queen was really, really happy. But she did feel a bit sorry for him. So what she used to do is every year she would send him a little card and a picture of the baby, and she also said that whenever he wanted to, he could come and play with the baby. So he had like visiting rights, which was really nice, because then when the baby grew up, it was a beautiful little princess. They used to go to the cinema together and go to McDonald's and things like that. Anyway, that was the story of Rumpelstiltskin, and that was the real version, because actually it's true that he got visiting rights. If all the other stories don't end like that, forget them. This is the one that counts. If you like the story, leave a like. If you didn't like it, leave a dislike. If you have subscribed to the channel, that's good. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. If you have not subscribed, try and find the subscribe button and press the subscribe button. Go beep, beep, because that helps me a lot. It means you're listening. Oh, it makes me so happy. Like, dislike, have a nice day, have a nice evening, have a nice morning, have a nice everything. Wherever you are in the world, have a good time. Bye-bye.